Hi, I'm Spottedkiwi, and this is Tyranny. It's a RPG from Obsidian, from the makers of Pillars of Eternity. The twist on this one, though, is evil has won. So it was a war, and evil was victorious. It's got a pretty lengthy character creation where you set up your backstory. So if you're not interested in that and want to skip to gameplay, I'll have that in the next video, but this video will be solely character creation. So let's get started. I played a little bit of Pillars of Eternity and I liked it. I just don't really have a lot of time for RPGs, but we'll give this one a go. So I think I'll just play on normal.
For over 400 years, the armies of Kairos the Overlord have swept across the known world. All who stood against them fell before their might. Even the Archons, women and men of immense power, were forced to kneel, chained to the Overlord's will. Now Kairos' final conquest has come to our corner of the world, and two of the Overlord's armies compete for the honor of taking our lands. The elite disfavored, and the teeming horde of the Scarlet Chorus. The voices of Nerat, spymaster and Archon of secrets, guides the fierce and undisciplined masses of the Scarlet Chorus. With each battle, the Scarlet Chorus grows stronger, as the defeated are given a simple choice: serve or die. Graven Ash, Archon of War and the Overlord's most loyal general, leads the disfavored. Though small in number, Kairos' ironclad legion has never met true defeat in open battle. Watching over the two generals is Tunon, the Adjudicator, Archon of Justice, eldest of Kairos' minions. Tunon brings Kairos' laws to newly conquered lands, aided by the Fatebinders, judges and executioners of the Overlord's laws. You were among the youngest of the court of Fatebinders when Kairos' armies came to our lands. How could we have known that the fate of thousands would rest in your hands?
Alright, here we go. So I think I'm just going to go male. That looks fine. Can't really change anything else about his appearance other than body shape, but I'm going to stick with that. Oh, actually, here we go. Face in here. Kind of suits the portrait there. Maybe you should pick the portrait first and try and match that. I want to go sword and shield, I think, mostly. So, he doesn't have a shield.
Got it.
Do we want a tattoo? Oh, that seems like a lot of work. Okay, no tattoo.
My wounds are slowing me down. I need rest. Huh. Heads up. You learn something every day.
Okay, we'll go with male aggressive. And the most important part. Alright, there we go. How did you join Cairo's army? It's probably the soldier, pit fighter, hunter, what's a lawbreaker? So it was a prisoner, an innocent prisoner. There we go for soldier. Sword and shield. Shield slam. Javelin. Spear and shield. And that means we get Sunder as well. Sword and shield. Go with the theme, maybe. I actually quite like the colours. Purple pants. We'll just stick with that, I think. Tennis. So it's recommending these two based on sword and shield and spear and shield. I think I'll just keep everything basic except these two, see how that goes, and split the difference. And so this one's recommended because sword and shield, and this must be because it's both spear and sword. Okay, 20 points. Alright, we'll just even them out. I don't know how important this stuff is, so we won't put too much thought into it, we'll just go. Okay, so quick start, I can skip his whole backstory and just fill out a few questions, but we'll go Conquest, and we'll give us a few choices.
All the world has fallen to Kairos, and now the Overlord's eye is on the Tears, our home. The last corner of the world free of Kairos' reign. Two armies, the Disfavored and the Scarlet Chorus, march south from the Northern Empire, the last realm to fall to Kairos a century prior. In the early days of 428, Kairos' armies arrive at the Gates of Judgment, the mountainous border that we Tearsmen so long believed unassailable. Unable to agree on a unified plan of defense, the various leaders of the Tears sit and wait for each other to deal with the conquerors, until it's too late.
During the conquest, you'll decide your character's actions during Kairos' invasion of the Tears, shaping the world through which you will adventure over the course of the game. Each choice you make affects your character and how major factions of the Tears respond to you. Your decisions matter, choose wisely. The Bastard City. So we're given two choices here. Gates of Judgment. In the first major engagement of the war, Kairos' army crossed the mountains and established a foothold. Both armies sent their forces to prepare the way. So we select one, and then it gives us a choice of who to support, like which army. So this one, standing shield to shield with Kairos' ironclad elite, you advance on the mercenary army purchased by the nobles of the Bastard City. The Legion wanted to send a message to the Tears that superior breeding and disciplined training would win the day. Or we could go, you rushed with the chaotic mass of Scarlet Chorus, flanked Bastard City's army and drove them to flee. So there's that choice, or we can go with this. I lent my skills to the elite disfavored scouts to capture a border garrison. Graven Ash insisted that an early victory in the offensive would boost the morale of his troops and diminish the haughty overconfidence of the southerners. You joined the Scarlet Chorus as they raided villages and small towns, conscripting every able-bodied man and woman into the army. The voices of Narat emphasized the rewards of conscription and enslaved over wanton bloodshed. Apparently his soldiers needed the reminder. So I'm pretty sure we can only pick one of these and then one of the choices, and it'll get rid of the other one. I quite like the idea of the disfavored, the elite, well-trained soldiers, whereas the Scarlet Chorus is kind of like an unruly mob. So I think I'm going to pick this one. Go with the elite. The bastard city learned too late that the military is earned and never bought. The mercenary army quickly found themselves outclassed by the superior tactics and formation of the disfavored. Those few who lived to the end of the battle were rounded up, the weak executed, and the strong enslaved to haul the army's wagons on the journey south. So, do we decide the fate of enemy soldiers captured in battle? Or you found a way to feed Cairo's armies in enemy territory? So if we go this one, the disfavored need slaves to haul the gear. Or give prisoners a chance to serve in Cairo's army or die. So this one. Confiscate food and supplies from travelling merchant caravans. Or pillage farms. I think I'm gonna do this one. Take from the rich. The caravans, rather than pillaging from the everyday people. After raiding the wagons of unsuspecting caravans and securing days' worth of provisions and supplies, the disfavored found a cache of goods behind a hidden panel. They confiscated potions and elixirs bound for secret contacts within the bastard city. The hall filled the disfavored, larger with provisions for the following year, denied the defenders of the bastard city supplies that would be desperately needed in the siege to come. Yeah, so that's alright. The armies of Cairo's amassed around the bastard city, the first bastion of the Tears to fall. Both armies longed to storm the walled outpost, the Scarlet Chorus howling for plunder, and the disfavored forming an unbreakable shield wall. Your prowess on the field of battle had carried them this far, but there was one more step before total victory. Both of the armies had inspired schemes to take the bastard city. Which did you support? So we can go with the disfavored. Direct assault. Go with the Scarlet Chorus and set fire to the city, blocking the gates. Or a mixed sabotage. I think I'm going to go just a direct assault with the elite guys. Be a badass. With heroic courage and legendary determination, the disfavored battered the gates of the bastard city to splinters. Those who fell under the constant hail of arrows or cascades of boiling pitch left the battlefield temporarily, only to appear hours later as Archon graven ashes protected protection healed their numerous wounds. In time, the gates gave way and Cairo's forces spilled into the city walls with resounding cheers of victory. That's real cool how that's animated. So we can choose another location. So we can go for the resources. Or these guys who are just sitting there idle. I mean, like, strategically, this is better. Going for the resources. I don't know how much effect this will make, but I quite like the idea of going to these guys and punishing them for just sitting there. Yes. I'm gonna go to the apex. The mountain nation of Apex, ruled for generations by the queens of House Vindern, stood at the heart of the tiers. No army could bypass the landlocked realm without leaving their flank exposed to attack. By the second year of the war, the Disfavored and Scarlet Chorus had pushed deep into the tiers. Elements of both armies were dispatched to conquer Apex. Tunon? I don't know. Assigned to you to accompany them, tasked with bringing Cairo's law to the territory as well as keeping an eye on both armies. So we can congratulate the Disfavored for taking the pass without risking their lives. Well, that seems good. The Disfavored sent their most destructive ally to crush Edgering Fort. Carne Archon of Stone buried the stronghold under an avalanche triggered from the surrounding mountains. The Scarlet Chorus were promised captured enemies for recruitment, yet none survived the onslaught. Well, that's fine. I mean, like, if none survived, then they don't get anyone, and that's upholding the deal, so I'm gonna side with the Disfavored on that one. I'll see what this is. School of Water Mages loyal to the Tiersmen posed a substantial threat. The Disfavored wished to annihilate the school, while the Scarlet Chorus insisted on capturing the mages, wishing to learn their craft. I'm gonna go with this one and side with these guys. Scarlet Chorus claims were insignificant compared to the lossless victory. You congratulated the Disfavored and encouraged the Scarlet Chorus to better value their soldiers' lives, a suggestion that gang bosses took worse than the original offence. Vowing to remember this, the selected army returned to camp to sulk, if not lick their wounds. The enemy are readied for peacetime festivals as Cairo's forces armed for battle. The Disfavored paid no mind to the southern custom, so it's like a holiday. And disfavored want to ignore the holiday and just slaughter them, whereas the Scarlet Chorus wants to give them a day. I'm gonna go with the disfavored on that one. Scarlet Chorus soldiers were seen wearing disfavored gear, supposedly taken from those who fell in battle. The disfavored were outraged, citing tradition that their armour passed only to next of kin within the army. In a debate of tradition versus practicality, you had to rule in favour of one army over another. I'm fine with them wearing their armour. I mean, if they're dead, then... Anyway, I'm gonna side with these guys and just slaughter everyone. Screw holidays. Not a fan of holidays. The disfavored marched on the realm of Apex, setting fire to decorations and putting any brave revelers to the sword. The Scarlet Chorus sat out of the battle in an uncharacteristic respect, earning the ire, confusion, and amusement of the voice of Nerat. You contented yourself in knowing that the tears must submit to Kairos and no indulgence would be made for uncooperative foes. Pleased by your support of the disfavored battle plan, the Archon of War selected you for a vital mission to meet with the enemy and negotiate surrender, allowing Kairos forces to declare victory and move onward. How did you orchestrate the surrender of the enemy? So we can negotiate surrender of the valley, putting end to further bloodshed, or taunting the Queen of Apex into striking you under a banner of truce. You baited the Queen of Apex into duel and slew her, frightening her vassal. Well, we're going to go with that one. The Scarlet Chorus urged you to show the Overlord's strength by any means necessary. During peace talks, a well-placed insult goaded the Queen of Apex into striking you. You responded to the slight by challenging her to a duel. Though the Queen was skilled in battle, your field experience outmatched her court training as her body lay cooling on the ground. You demanded that her followers kneel before the Overlord's banner, unable to rise above the fear of the moment. The remaining leaders capitulated, surrendering the valley to Kairos' forces. Awesome. Okay. So we've got this well-defended position, well-trained soldiers, so that would be tough to take. This looks like peaceful farmland that should probably be real easy to take. And this is lots of treasures and secrets. I like the idea of being those elite badasses and not backing down from a challenge, so we're going to go with taking on this well-defended military outpost. The realm of Stalwart was best known for its proud army, disciplined, courageous, and undefeated on their home soil. Skill and resolve made Stalwart a military power that Kairos' forces approached with due caution. With its southern position, Stalwart had been largely safe from war, watching for 2 years as its neighbours fell to Kairos' forces. On the dawn of the third year of war, Kairos' forces were finally posed to invade Stalwart Peninsula and subdue the Tehir's most vaunted army. Alright. Stalwart defenders burned their crops as they retreated, leaving invaders little to forage. Starving, the Scarlet Chorus mob raided from the disfavored, well-maintained supplies lines, incurring casualties on both sides. So I can punish the Scarlet Chorus soldiers, or have the disfavored share the provisions. The thieves get each lose a hand. That seems fair. We'll see what the other one is. After a defeat at the hands of the enemy oh, I don't like that. These guys don't. They never lose. We're not doing that one. Okay, the seems fair. Share the provisions and chop off their hands. Mages discovered a spell to turn beastman slaves against their handlers. The army prepared to deploy this tactic elsewhere, but the disfavored protested. The use of unsanctioned magical practices ran contrary to Cairo's law. The beastmen were considered too erratic to rely upon, even as shock troops. And what's this one? Better dead than red. Rather than submit to Scarlet Chorus's subscription, conquered locals begin committing suicide. Desperate to add more bodies to the horde, the Scarlet Chorus demanded a portion of disfavored prisoners. The disfavored denied the rights of recruitment as the realm's population had taken a steep decline. On the side of these guys. You agreed with the disfavored arguments. This conquest was never about ruling a graveyard, but the Scarlet Chorus acted contrary to that goal. The voices of Nura and his mobs blamed you for suppressing their ability to conduct war as they saw fit. In spite of their protests, you read this proclamation in every conquered village, knowing that enemy spies would hear your verdict. The disfavored carved a slow, steady path into the heart of Stalwart, and surrounding the enemy's massive fortress. With the main bulk of their forces defeated, the enemy leadership retreated to their mighty fortress, content to wait out the war. The overlords answered this impudence with an edict of storms on the peninsula, a devastating spell that would endure for as long as the cowardly hearts of Stalwart's leaders persisted in beating. Pleased by your efforts, Tunon deemed you the proper representative to deliver Cairo's edict. Aside from being given a 3-day window to read the edict, you received no other instructions. Agreeing with the wishes of the disfavored, you proclaimed the edict at once, leaving the enemy no time to react. Stalwart had ample opportunity to surrender for years. The time for mercy was gone. In an attempt to ingratiate themselves with the people of Stalwart, the Scarlet Chorus insisted that warning be sent to the towns and villages so that people may prepare for the horror about to descend on them. Well, no. This seems right, because they've had a chance to surrender for several years, so let's just do it straight away. You agreed with the disfavored rationale. The leaders of the Stalwart had refused honourable battle, and too many disfavored lives were lost in the campaign. Since the last regent refused to leave the keep, you would let him watch as his people suffered. Without hesitation or regret, you broke the seal of Cairo's edict of storms and read the overlord's incantation. The Clear skies darkened as you read the final words of the edict. A flurry of wind and rain whipped through the rolling plains and craggy canyons, turning rocks and uprooted trees and hapless soldiers into hazardous shrapnel. Armed with a measure of foresight, you were able to remove yourself from the area before the storms grew more violent. Over time, nearby communities told of cyclones consisting of thousands of soldiers' worth of limbs, spears, armor, and skulls. What's more, the weather showed no sign of dissipating. Several units of disfavored who fought the enemy in spite of the advancing storm were caught up in the Overlord's magic. The few survivors regrouped and nursed their wounds. Their failure to topple the stalwart legion shamed them into believing the dead more fortunate. The name Stalwart fell from use. People took to calling it the Blade Grave for the remade landscape festooned with the iron and bronze armaments of two once great legions. As Cairo's forces departed, you spared a glance back at the ruins of Stalwart, marvelling at your work. You didn't have long to rest before Tunon called you into service once more. Alright, I'm happy with that.
The year is 431, and Kairos' invasion has shattered all major opposition in the tiers. The Younger Realms, the Bastard Tier, the Free Cities. All who defied Kairos lay broken by battle, or bowed in surrender. The two armies of the Overlord, the Disfavored and the Scarlet Chorus, now control our lands. But our will is not yet extinguished. Not entirely. In the Valley of Vendrian's Well, those of us unwilling to bow to Kairos have banded together in defiance. Violating an oath of surrender from 2 years prior, we have staged a bloody uprising, murdering the Disfavored and Scarlet Chorus garrison in a midnight assault. With their main forces spread across the tiers, the Disfavored and Scarlet Chorus redeploy to Vendrian's Well to crush the resistance, but months pass with no definitive battle. As disagreement and discord paralyze the Archons, we bide our time and wait for our message of insurrection to spread across the tiers. The Overlord is not amused, and Kairos has one message for the Archons: crush the Oathbreakers or die. Kairos backs this threat with an edict, a magical commandment that can slay all in the valley should the order be ignored. The honor of proclaiming this edict fell to you. Sent across the mountains to Vendrian's Well, you carry the Overlord's edict to read before the Archons. As you finally make your way through the winding mountain passes into the valley, the ground trembles, and Kairos' magic seals the way behind you. You are trapped in Vendrian's Well, with Kairos' armies and the Oathbreakers. The only way to survive is to fulfill the terms of the Overlord's edict, in any way that you can.